My screen sharing okay? Nehal, Aishwarya, looks good?
Yes.
Okay. We'll attempt to take you through who we are as London and Partners. We are the Development Agency in short. So we lead on all things that bring economic value to the City of London, including tech, and we help founders set up in London. We have mapped as the Mayor of London's office all the locations that bring us the highest FDI collaboration. You can see on the map we have offices in China, the US of A, Europe, and of course we have 3 offices in India, Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore. We divided by region. I am the Vice President of South and East India. And of course, if you are based elsewhere, we're connected to the Western India and the Northern India team as well. What we do and why London is very important. So India today is the largest investor in London, and these are some of the reasons why. We have about 400 flights connectivity, so it's an international hub. We see a lot of our founders that want to set up in London do so because they can talk to India, US, and China all in a day's work. It's access to funding. We work with all our regulators, being the Mayor of London's office, ranging from NHS or FCA. Of course, the world's 4 top 10 universities are sitting out of London, so talent is never a challenge. And of course, the valuation in 500 billion combined is in terms of numbers. You can see some of the stats. We have been ranked constantly the #1 place in Europe to do business. Of course, language plays a big role in that. So a lot of our companies still set up in UK to access the EU market. And if you're a tech company looking at AI and deep tech, the Brexit play won't apply to you. The rest of the figures, as you can see, are on the screen, including the 21 billion that we've raised in 2 years for tech startups. Of course, we're sitting at 171 unicorns, and that number is only growing. We are ranked as the #1 tech hub across the region. These are the industries we focus on. It's fintech, financial services, the enterprise tech, which Alban leads, and he'll come in for a second after me to speak about AI and deep tech. Of course, I have to say that now we are seeing these AI deep tech aspects overarching and encompassing all the sectors we focus on. But the reason we've put up these sectors is this is where we have been mandated to work. This is where the India-London corridor is most active and growing, right? So we work with life sciences and NHS. We do all the sustainability play. What we don't do is brick and mortar. This is just for you to see, we know inherently India, UK are apart many years. What you may not know is India overtook China and the USA to become the larger in London, and now that's 3 years in a row. Companies, and it may look small. These are companies that have registered, hired teams locally, are functioning successfully. Those are and that's the numbers you can see. We've had a humongously successful, long drawn out FTA that was signed. For most people, the risk is going to get cheaper, but otherwise, fine lines in the FTA that makes this relationship extremely valuable. And of course, in the global scheme of things, if you want to hit a global platform, because of London's strategic location with its global companies HQ'd out of such a small area, Indian companies still choose to put a team in London. We help. This is an important slide. If you do engage with us, we have no fees, dues, or anything. We are the government organization. We are paid out of taxpayers' money to bring good growth into London, right? So we'll advise you in setting up an entity. We'll give you partners if you struggle with anything, if you need immigration lawyers and such, we'll give you that. We have in the sectors that I have mentioned, sector-specific support. So if you are financial services versus creative industry, and that's who your end customer with that specific knowledge to help through the year of us helping you or 2 years of us helping you. We will help you engage with a lot of events and networking and ecosystem, and we'll bring in founders into the room for you to meet. That's what we do as soft landing. Instead of giving out freebies, we open up our networks for to engage with, and hopefully in the of you staying engaged with us, you'll have or and know the ecosystem very well and have those uh, Alban is the head of enterprise tech. So he's agreed to join us to take you through your sector focused points, which is deep tech and AI. And Alban, can I bring you in to take over the rest, please?
Sure. Thanks, Divya. And very nice to meet everyone. So yeah, my name is Alban. I'm based in London. But as you can probably tell by my accent, I'm actually French. I've been in London for 15 years, which is quite common in London. London is a very diverse place, and just in our office, I think we've got about 20, 25 different nationalities, and I'm one of them. True London, but French by background, let's say. So yeah, I've been asked to talk to you a bit more about deep tech and the opportunities for businesses in London. So as you can see, I'm not going to run through all those stats. I'm sure that we can share the slides later on, but there's lots of opportunities in London. It's a large ecosystem, especially around deep tech and innovative technologies. There's a lot of what
For
differentiate London to a lot of the markets that you will know. Obviously, the Indian market, US market, China market is the UK is very concentrated. There's obviously opportunities all across the UK, but London acts as a magnet for those opportunities. And you will have within London the four key pillars of any businesses, meaning clients, regulators, public service talents. You find all of that concentrated in city, very compelling for a lot of businesses, and that is especially true for deep tech businesses. There are a lot of opportunities, but it also means it's a very competitive place, and that's something that I want to draw attention on. What this means is that you can expect a lot of support, but slightly different from what you will see in other places. Quite often we've got companies coming to us asking, "Oh, can you provide office space, discounted office space, or can you provide financial incentives to move?" That's not something that we are able to do, and not anyone in London is able to do because it's a very competitive market. So I just want to kind of frame that in your market strategy. This is the reality of London. Now, on the reverse, there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of options for development. There's a lot of things happening. There's a real appetite for innovation in the UK and London particularly. Buyers are really interested in getting competitors, and quite often it means integrating the best pieces of technology, especially those in deep tech and yeah, innovative technologies. In terms of go-to-market strategy, and we can move on to the next slide, and I'll talk through some of the there. What I would say is because there's a lot of opportunities, there's a need to be focused on specific industries. The deep tech AI companies, especially, is that your application might work well in finance, but also in health tech and also in general kind of enterprise or in marketing. London has all these opportunities, but for any incoming company to target all these different industries will be very resource heavy. So one of the advice I can give you in terms of go-to-market and ecosystem is pick and choose your specific verticals and dive really deeply into them. There are thousands of events every week happening in London. But as soon as you're starting to look at specific industry, you reduce the scope of things that you need to do, and you can get better integrated into those sectors. So that's advice I would give you is really focus on specific industries, try it out, and if it doesn't work, move to the next one and the next one and next one. I was just talking to a company the other day. In their own market in Europe, they're working mostly with marketing agencies and large enterprise and marketing solutions. But then they came to the UK. Their first client was a financial service company, and since then they're getting all the financial services companies in the UK, because obviously they won, and through the work they've done with one, they got a second and a third. That's usually how it works. Of course, if you've got unlimited resources and you can hire dozens of people from the get-go, you can target multiple industries. But if you've got a lean go-to-market strategy, I would say focus on specific verticals. Divya, do you mind moving one slide, please? In terms of ecosystem, people out there that will be able to support you. Obviously, we're one of them, as Divya explained, and we can help you navigate that ecosystem. I've got a bunch of logos there on the slide of people supporting the ecosystem out there. A couple that I want to point out to, Tech UK is a great organization for anyone that wants to connect with the ecosystem, understand what the regulation looks like, what the government is doing. So they're linked to the government, and they do amazing briefings, working groups, and of that. They've proven to be really useful for a lot of the companies coming over. And the other ones that I want to flag are the universities. So we've got a couple of logos there: Imperial, UCL, King's. They're great universities, especially on deep tech. We've got amazing talents here, and I'll talk about it later on. But yeah, really start and think about how you could join up with some of these universities. We've done those kind of introductions in the past, and to bring it close at home, just a few names of companies we've supported before. For India, obviously, with Baiju, very recently Orion Pro in AI, Emphasis a year ago also. So we've supported all these companies, and as Divya was saying, there's a really strong stream of Indian companies coming over to the UK. So it's something we do pretty much every day. So we're well used to supporting companies from India, but you won't be alone. There's a real attraction in London. Our support, and we'll talk about it a bit later on, but it's not templated, which means that for each of these companies that are named, we've done something slightly different, and we try and work out with you what you need and try and find the right contacts, the right connections to support you. So yeah, we can go individually in your journeys on how we can best support you. If we can move on a slide, we'll dive a bit deeper into the specific of deep tech. So obviously AI being the first of our deep tech subsectors, it's really gaining strength and strengths every month in London. I think London benefits from the fact that with Brexit, we're kind of self-regulated, and we're kind of owning the regulation around AI, which attracted a lot of US companies to come and operate from the UK. We've got, as I said, corporate really interested in the technology. We've got capital funding it, and we've got the talents that are kind of fueling that AI wave. It's good equally for, we make the distinction between AI deep tech creator, originator, so the people that will hire the computer scientists that will create AI first businesses, but it's also really good for AI commercializers, people that will use AI to commercialize a product to be used by large enterprise. So it's good for both, but both find different ways to make it work in London. But as you can see from these numbers and the companies that we attract, is doing really well. And I'll bring that in more detail. So next slide, the people doing AI in London, kind of a mapping, if you will, of logos. Again, I won't go through all them, but I want to flag a couple in there. So in terms of London homegrown companies, we obviously have DeepMind. I'm sure you've heard about them. They've been acquired by Google a few years ago, and they've really been at the forefront of that AI wave. And they're still a big employer, a big leader in AI today. And the fact that after being acquired by Google, Google decided to keep DeepMind in London, and all the teams of DeepMind are operating from London, is great testament to AI in the city. The other one I want to flag, you might not have heard about it, but you will. Synthesia in there, also London grown spin out from UCL. They've just recently raised £2 million at a 4 billion valuation. So yeah, a great company that was just created a few years ago and doing fantastic work in AI video. And in terms of companies we've attracted here, obviously OpenAI, Scale, big US firms. One logo that is not in there that I need to update is Mistral from France. That was their first, London was their first office opening after their office in France. And so, yeah, we're attracting those kind of pool of companies. If we move one slide, please, I want to talk about the hyperscalers. We also have players that have been in London for a long time, but are doubling down on their AI capacity. So Microsoft, the global AI hub in London. Google, as I said, have DeepMind, but they a new office in London. If you are coming to the city and you're passing by King's Cross station, just at the back of the station, you will see a massive building that famously cost them $1 billion, and that's their new Google HQ in London, which is their largest office outside the US. Salesforce, similarly to Microsoft, decided to open their global AI hub in London, and finally, Apple decided to invest a lot more into the engineering teams in London, specifically for AI. As talking about research, so the next slide, I just brought very recent announcements that you may have seen in the news, but are great for London. This just happened in the last month. So OpenAI announced that they are bringing the R&D hub into London. I think it's, again, something that we're very proud of, that a US firm would bring all their research into London. Lenovo, big US-China firm, have been working to open a global AI hub in Europe, and they had considered 50 different cities, and we worked with them for 6 months on that project whilst they were looking at all these different cities. And at the end of it, London and Edinburgh were selected to open the global AI hub in partnership here in London with universities. A bit before that link with the university is really important, and Lenovo are actually going to sit by Imperial for their global AI hub. And just last week, finally, the Office for Artificial Intelligence, so it's a branch of government that is looking specifically after AI, have committed 40 million to create a research lab. Why I think this is important is because I wanted to show, even within government, there are now dedicated offices, services looking after AI. It's not just like a small team within the science department. No, these are specific departments based on deep tech and AI. So that's really important. All right, moving on. A couple of other industries in deep tech that I want to mention. The first one is quantum computing. Obviously, it's kind of the next technology after AI that we're looking at. London is again in a good position in quantum, mostly for those 3 points that I've described there in the slide. We've got an amazing research cluster. here, and we've got amazing researchers, people that are leading in quantum discoveries, hosted here in London or Oxford and Cambridge, which are two big pools of research. The technology itself is great, but it needs to be sold to someone. And I think those commercial opportunities are really important. And so we've got that in London with the concentration of HQs and decision makers that would look at buying the technology. So again, that makes London an interesting place. And then again, the government being very business focused, have committed a lot of resources and money towards quantum technology over the next 10 years, recognizing that it's going to be a impactful technology. And I think that gives real clarity to companies in the space to think, okay, if I come to the UK, there's real plan, and things will government will work alongside us. Apart from these technologies, so AI, robotics, there's a couple of other technologies I want to mention before we move on to investment is robotics. It's something that we're starting to look at because of the AI implement into robotics. We're seeing a lot more robotics companies coming into London, something that we want to support. And finally, semiconductors, and also part of that deep tech wave, and data centers. So we're working with all these different type of companies, all have different requirements. But yeah, within deep tech, these are the sectors that we are proactively looking at. Right now, I know we're going to take questions later. So if you've got questions, please write them down, put them on the chat or whatever. I realize I'm kind of feeding information quite quickly, so I want to make sure that you get a chance to ask about any of these points. Investments. Obviously, London is a great hub for investment, especially like say for the last 5-6 years or whichever time we've run that. London is more tech investment than Paris, Berlin, Amsterdam together, which are the last three cities. We're basically just behind the West Coast when it comes to tech investment. That means again, there's lots of funding for companies in the space. Now, saying that, I want to raise an important point, especially for international companies. There's a way to get investments, and I was just discussing that with an investor last week on a panel, and it kind of made that point. The investment in London is basically for traction here rather than getting investment to expand here. Well, I mean, if you come to us saying, look, we're interested in the UK, can you connect us to investors that can help us fund that expansion? That's not going to work. That's not the job of investors. Investors will want to see the traction here, the clients you've got here, and your commitment to the region before considering investment into the company. I think that's really important to note, because yeah, quite often those discussions happen in the wrong way, and it costs you a lot of time and resources. So yeah, there are a lot of investment opportunities, but it needs to happen at the right time when you've got the traction here and the setup and all of that. If you are considering funding, depending on your stage of investment, there's a couple of things you need to consider, especially in early stage funding. We investment schemes called EIS and SEIS. Again, nothing that you need to look at, but we can help you with that. But basically, there are funding schemes to support investment into small startups and scale-ups, up to a certain cap of tickets for investors. But it means that you need to be eligible for that in order to receive that kind of investment. And for that, you need a UK entity and a UK director. So it's something to consider as well if you're looking to raise investment. The thing I want to flag on investment, this investment is not all there is. There's also a lot of what we call alternative funding available, grant funding. There's a lot of grants available for, especially in deep tech, and UKRI, Innovate UK, are usually running those grants on behalf of government. And there's a lot of money available for that. And there's also tax R&D, tax credit for R&D. So if you're doing research and development here and you're going to hire talents out of university to do research and development for your business, you will effectively be eligible to tax credit for that R&D. So there's ways to kind of get a bit of finance, alternative funding or financing through the schemes, and we can support with that. Next slide, please. Briefly, I talked about the universities. Obviously, they're huge attraction pool for London with amazing universities here, plus the fact that we a train ride from Oxford and Cambridge, which brings also amazing talents. So especially for deep tech, as I'm sure you're going to get traction in London, you're going to need to hire more people here. We've got all of that. Plus, the universities here are very collaborative, and they're always keen to work with deep tech providers on research and on joint projects and all of these kind of things. So that's really important, and especially on deep tech, we've got fantastic ones. Next slide, please. In terms of public services and policy, again, I think the government is really proactive in everything that there is to do with deep tech. I mentioned the stuff they're doing on quantum, on AI. There was a whole task force a few years ago that worked on how the UK can lead basically the world in AI. And what they've done is, instead of getting the report done by people in the public office, they went on and got Matt Clifford, was the founder of an accelerator and the founder of businesses, to come in and work 1 year with government to write kind of 50 recommendation that we call the UK AI Opportunity Action Plan. So that came from private sector into government. And these were 50 recommendations that the government is already implementing. So it's not just a nice report to publish and put in a drawer somewhere. These are things that are being actioned. Again, I think that shows that the government really proactive in make sure that the UK is in the charge in AI. Things that is obviously already in place is AI growth zones. So the government wants to open permission planning for data centers and AI hubs across the UK. The other thing they've done pretty quickly, that was one of the recommendations, is open an office within government to look at the use of AI within government. So they're effectively acting as a procurement office for AI tools for government, to get government to use more AI. So yeah, there's lots of things like that that the government has already implemented, and there's a lot of positive signs, let's say. And finally, couple of things to consider. Again, the idea is not to scare you with a lot of these different points, but just things to consider as you're looking to expand into London. Think about which entity, think about office space, think about hiring. As Divya explained, we can help you with all of these things, and we've got partners that work into each of the verticals. But it's really important to think about these things before you start getting your first traction and your first clients, because these are the kind of things that you're going to be needing in order to actually contract with your first clients. Just two quick points before I finish. London has lots of opportunities, but it's an expensive city. So about your resources and your timeline. Likely you're going to move to London next month and you're going to have your first client in 2 months. Things take time. You need to build trust into the ecosystem, to go to events, you need to meet people. And so just think about the timing of it, and therefore the need to sustain your company for that period of time. I think that's all